ST, and man, the differences of these two cars are very subtle. And one of them is the feeling of weight, of comfort, and the differences of the seats. Huge difference. The power figures don't necessarily feel too different when you're in the actual car. The feeling of speed, the feeling of the torque feels very, very similar. And it's relative, you know, to the power to weight ratios, you know, where you get this car, which is around 3,200 pounds versus a car that's 2,700 pounds. And then you get the horsepower figures, which are very, very, they make the cars feel very, very similar. Now, the one difference that I can feel right off the bat hopping back into this car is the feeling of the cabin. The space in this car specifically, everything's a little bit higher. Overall, the driving impressions are very, very similar, and the fit and functionality are very, very similar. That power that this car has over the Fiesta is just, and it's very subtle, like I said, and you can feel the Fiesta ST sort of die after it gets up into the higher RPMs, where this car is building the boost, and you can feel a little bit more power in that higher RPM, which you can't feel in the Fiesta ST, which is probably one of the reasons why I like this car a little bit more than that car. Yeah, just being in the Focus ST, you get a feeling of these Recaro seats which hold you in place anytime you're making a turn. So that sense of body roll isn't there like it is in the Fiesta. Like I said, if you have the choice and you can fit in those Recaro seats, get those Recaro seats because they are wonderful. Let's around these twisties here. That rear end. The overall sense of maturity in this Focus ST versus the Fiesta ST, it just feels more expensive, but the overall fit and finish of the Focus ST feels just a little bit better than the Fiesta. I think that's worth the extra $4,000 in addition to the little bit of extra power. Now, you can also go the route of this car, the Fiesta is smaller, it's lighter weight, it's more balanced in the turns and curves, but honestly, driving them back to back, I feel like the Focus ST just has a little bit more control, a little bit more predictable, and that could be with the rear sway bar that it has versus the Fiesta does not have a rear sway bar. The Focus specifically does not have a lot of rattles and creaks. And these cars specifically are very tunable, which makes these cars very, very awesome. If you haven't seen Matt Farah's Fiesta ST getting the entire Stage 3 kit from Cobb as well as a dyno tune, and then they actually put race fuel in there, that actually jacks up the horsepower of the Fiesta by a ton. These cars specifically have those blow-off. It's a recirculated blow-off valve, but you can actually hear it, and it's actually really, really fun and cool. Every time you lift off the throttle, you hear that. It's awesome. I think the suspension in the Focus ST is just, it's not softer, but it feels more compliant. So I think the dampers on the actual Focus ST are a little bit better than the Fiestas. The Fiesta sort of feels like you're just bouncing around everywhere, so that's one of the perks of the Focus as well. So let's recap. The steering and suspension are a little bit better in the Focus, I believe, as well as the power and the comfort. So overall, you're paying $4,000 extra for those aspects of the car, as well as getting a little bit bigger of a car, so you can actually fit 5 people in here fairly comfortably, which I've done previously, and it works all right. I mean, it's not something you want to do every single day, but it definitely fits 4 people well. So another few gripes about the Focus, because obviously it's not a perfect car. It's pretty freaking close, but it's not a perfect car. You have some of the amenities in this car that specifically are maddening to me. Like this, there's no map lights here. So if it's dark and you want to light the way with your map lights, you have these lights here which are super freaking annoying because they don't light anything that you want to light, and your head blocks half of the light, which is super stupid. In addition to that, the rear here, back here, you specifically don't have control over that light. You have to open the door to specifically turn on that map light on and off. The hugest, biggest, ginormous gap in the room is this turning radius. You have 40 feet compared to 35 feet, which is ridiculous for a turning radius. 40 fucking feet. That is the most ridiculous thing about this car. Honestly, if you fix that, I don't think I'd ever buy another car other than possibly the Focus RS. Looking at the actual gas mileage, obviously the Fiesta is a 1.6 liter turbo, and this is a 2.0 turbo, and being a larger engine with a higher displacement, this car gets slightly less gas mileage. This car is specifically rated at 23 in the city and 32 on the highway, with a combined of 25 miles to the gallon. I usually get around 23-ish if I'm not just on it all the time. Now, the Fiesta specifically obviously gets better gas mileage, a combined of 29, around 25, 26 in the city, and 35 on the highway, so around 29 combined. So it's a bit better. So if you're looking for the better fuel economy, you know, sipping a little bit less gas, and like I said, it really just depends. If you're on it all the time, if your foot is, you know, pedal to the metal all the time, it's not gonna matter. You're not gonna see a huge difference in that. And obviously, you know, it really just depends on how you drive. If you drive very cautiously, I've averaged 27 in the city. Is it worth calling these two cars brothers, cousins? Honestly, I think they're twins, and one just happened to grow a little bit taller than the other, and one's just a little bit stronger, one's a little bit smarter, and that's what you have. You have these two cars which are so freaking similar. The differences between them are just a slight opinion of which one you like more. Now, hopping into the Fiesta ST after driving the Focus ST, this car the interior seems a lot more spacious. It seems like it wasn't created to sort of make you very claustrophobic. The problem with this specific car is that it feels cheap. It feels a lot cheaper than the Focus ST, and that's sort of a gripe that I have with it specifically. The steering wheel feels very similar to it, but the overall interior feels just a little bit less nice. The Focus really feels a little bit nicer, and the overall visibility is something that I really like with the Fiesta ST compared to the Focus ST in the front. Now in the rear, the Focus ST, you can see out the back a lot better. Something that I really like about the Fiesta ST is the actual clutch. There doesn't feel like there's not a lot of travel in it, and some people may or may not like it, but I think it's very user-friendly and it's very easy to learn on. Like, I've been driving this car for an entire day now, and it's really hard for me to make a mistake. One of the things that I don't like is that this specific car does not have automatic up and down windows for all 4 of the windows. It has automatic down for the front, I believe. Actually, it has automatic windows only for the driver window, which is a bummer because it has automatic, the Focus ST specifically has automatic windows for all 4 windows up and down, which is something that, you know, it's a little thing here and there. So, I mean, driving perspective wise from the Focus ST, this specific car has just an amazing amount of control, and it has that playful rear end that people love. It feels fast and very, very responsive. It just doesn't have the little bit of top end that I specifically want out of the car, and that the Focus ST really has. A 197 horsepower to 252 horsepower, so a 55 horsepower gain in the Focus ST. And you're comparing the 270 pound-feet of torque, comparing that to the 202 pound-feet of torque. And the amount of torque for the specific car and the specific weight of the Fiesta ST is amazing, but you just get a little bit more out of the Focus ST, which it has a lot of torque, and it might be a little bit too much torque, but you can just throw your passengers around in that car and it's just great. Obviously, comparing this car to the Focus ST, this car specifically does not come with the Recaro seats, and I really miss them. These seats are very, very comfortable. However, the grip that you get, the lateral grip that you get when you're going around turns and different things like that, and when you're on a track specifically, it's just so comfortable. It feels like it's giving you a big hug, and it feels, the quality that you feel from that is just paramount to these seats that are just have no bolsters whatsoever. And the overall, actually one of my major gripes with the Focus ST is the lack of map lights here, and the fact that you have the controls back in the rear seats to turn on the LED lights back there, and to turn on the LED lights right here to shine here. Instead, the actual Focus ST has lights back here which are super annoying and that don't actually shine on anything, which is super dumb. Honestly, I also like the styling cues of the Focus ST a lot better than the Fiesta. The Fiesta kind of just looks small and sort of just odd when I look at it from the front to the rear. The rear definitely looks a lot, or sorry, the front looks actually a lot better than the rear does, but the rear looks just awful. The Focus isn't much better, but I like the overall proportions and sort of the little subtleties that you see compared to an actual regular Focus SE or, you know, a sedan. It's just got a lot of cues in the body that specifically say that, hey, I'm aggressive, I'm sporty, and I'm fun. So in that category, the styling portion, I do like the Focus ST better. But like I said, this is a very subjective matter, so depending on what you specifically like, you may like the Fiesta better. Which one is best? Now, most people believe that the Fiesta ST is best because you get that little more performance and you get a little less weight. I, on the other hand, am not one of those enthusiasts that believe that the Fiesta ST is better. The Fiesta ST is around $4,000 cheaper than the Focus ST. In comparison, I think it should be more than that. I think this car should be cheaper than $21,000 in comparison to the Focus ST. I think the Focus ST is by far the best all-around car that you can get, next to the Mach-7 GTI. And for the money, I believe it's best. I believe that the Focus ST has enough wins around the corner with a little bit more power, a little bit more luxurious feel, a little bit more space, a proper sized hatch. The Focus ST is the winner of this battle. Now, if your budget is $22,000, or if you're buying a used one and your budget is a little bit smaller, you know, around like $16,000 or $15,000, you can pick up one of these for that price. And you can also pick up a Focus ST for around that price. The problem is, where's the gap? Are you a person that specifically wants more space to be able to drive 5 people around? Because the Focus ST can fit 5 people pretty comfortably, and it can also fit luggage in the back as well. This car can maybe fit 2 pieces of luggage in the back. So the question lies with you, but in my opinion, if you are asking me specifically, the Focus ST is hands down the winner. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. We need more of these cars out on the road because, let's be honest, the manuals are dying and we have to save them. Twin brother. I don't even know what you want to call it because they're essentially the same exact car.